Viewers, it's public holiday. Of course, you know that Nigeria, our country, the green, white, green flag represented country, the most populous black country in the world, is 63 years as regarding the time we got our independence from the United Kingdom. So most of you, except you're in the informal sector, will most likely be at home. Happy Independence Day to Nigerians. But here, the show must go on. Pod Sports Extra comes your way as it does every Monday, and that is why we are in the studio. What do? We talk about the very best as regarding sports, football, and everything else that involves sports. Trending topics in the world of sports. The presenter does not do it alone. Sometimes I am the presenter, sometimes I am not. But there's always a striker who supports. And today, that person is not that person, but I Flyer, Abiodun Adewale. A very good afternoon to you.
Of course, a very good afternoon to you and to you as well, and happy independence to you and everybody that is watching us. It's good to be back on the show.
Fantastic. Less noise, less controversy, not too many persons on the road. But here we are giving our people the very best as regarding the world of sports. Where best to begin? But from the world of football. And when we talk about football, we are talking about the most watched football, the most watched sports in the world, and where else to begin but from the most watched league in the world. The English Premier League, there was trouble in Manchester.
Of course.
The red and the blue side falling apart like a pack of cards. What happened to Pep Guardiola's team?
Well, like Erling Haaland said after the game, they will learn. And Pep Guardiola himself adding his, should I say scapegoats, or should I be modest with my words, for their defeat. 3 players, he single-handedly picked them out for the defeat at the Molineux on Saturday. But it's not business as usual for Pep Guardiola. It should not always be like that. But when you're talking about being unbeaten in the Premier League, you just want to think that it might go on and on and on before a team like Manchester City, who are formidable, who are in shape, and who look like champions any day, any time, that no team will be able to get the better of them. But it took Wolves, who have not even been on top of their game as they've always been in previous season, to give them the first defeat, a taste of the first defeat of the season. So reality check for me, and it means that it's not business as usual. And City, if they will go as far as they used to, then they will still have to do more than 100% this time around, because every other team just look like they can also do something.
Who better to score the winning goal than the Korean guy? I mean, Pep was talking about him in the preview and analysis where he was talking about their players, and he forgot he won Chan's name, and he said the Korean guy. And that just instantly struck. And of course, the Korean guy was the one who ensured that City were not going to get any points at all. But let's talk about scapegoatism now. These guys that were labeled, did they really deserve the label? Was it not the team that flopped?
It's football, an 11-man team, and in fact, 5 other men would have to come in. That's a 16-man game, if you ask me. So it's a team sport. Everybody should take a share of the blame. But from the manager's perspective, he knows what he set up. He knew what it was about, and what they did on the pitch. He knew what they delivered. So it was not safe for him to scapegoat those guys. Very
quickly before we leave Pep Guardiola's matter, back-to-back defeats. This has not happened in a long time for Pep. Is he beginning to lose steam? Back-to-back defeats.
Well, you know, a coach is as good as his last game. We say that a lot of time. But then, at the same time, you don't want to be too quick to judge a manager like Pep Guardiola, to go to the extent of saying he's losing steam because he has lost 2 matches. Not in the league, one in a cup competition, and immediately as he lost in the Carabao Cup, he was quick to say, forget about quadruple or anything. That is not even our target this season. Mind games to me. But then, to say he's losing his steam, maybe until we see some other managers chasing him off that pecking order and trying to displace him in that position. But he's been in the English Premier League since 2016, 2017. And has been on the bounce now. He has been on the bounce. So to say he's losing his team after losing 2 matches, well, that is not to say
too heavy.
Eventually, he might still win the league.
Very quickly, to the other half of Manchester, they seem not to know what they are doing at Manchester United. They seem not to know. I mean, that's the best thing. The manager had the total control of the buy-ins this season. Everything is not working according to plan. Onana is drinking goals like water. Oilon does not seem to know where the goalpost is. Rashford does not seem to even know how to use the ball anymore. Bruno Fernandes is like...
It fizzles out.
We don't know. Sometimes he decides to play. Sometimes he decides to have fun and take a picnic. What is going on at that place?
A lot is going on in the other side of Manchester, the red side of Manchester, which used to be like what they call the most popular, because the other side they say is noisy, but the other side is fast catching up, and the most successful side is now looking up to the noisy side as
for help.
But a lot is going on from the dressing room to the pitch, and for a manager like Eric Ten Hag, he's had his second season, and in his first season he even had the luxury of pre-season. They did well for his first season. You expect them to build on that success. But unfortunately, they've not been able to replicate that. And it's their worst start to a Premier League campaign in their history. So it's as bad as that. And
They're swimming in defeat.
And he admits it. And to have lost against Crystal Palace at home again, a team you have just beaten in the Carabao Cup, shows how much they've been able, they've lost in terms of cohesion, particularly in the Premier League, because like we used to say in the local parlance, like play. They could just go ahead and win a cup competition, consolation and all of that. But the league is where you need to stamp your authority. It is where United have been more successful than any other competition. They have 20 titles to show for it. So they need to replicate that as soon as possible. The last time they did it was in 2013, and it was under the era of Sir Alex Ferguson. So it looks as if they are living under the shadows.
Past glory, 10 years after.
10 years after the departure of Servant. With all the signings, you would expect that a lot of things should happen. All on just safe to give him the benefit of the doubt. He will come good. He's shown the quality he has in few games that he had. But the only person that has not really proven why he was brought in is Andre Onana. And an average Manchester United fan, or even anybody who wants to even finger Ten Hag or any other person at Old Trafford, because it's just as they are reaping the rewards, the fruits of what they did. Of
chasing one of their most loyal servants
ever.
David De Gea.
That is David De Gea. So if it's happening like this to Andre Onana, perhaps Ten Hag needs to apologize.
All right. Very quickly to the Liverpool and Spurs game. The biggest game in English Premier League this weekend. Unfortunately, the man of the match was controversy. The goal scored by Luis Diaz, controversially ruled off. They've apologized, and it looks like they are not leaving the news anytime soon. Liverpool have written a letter to them, and should we abandon technology, or is technology really a help?
Technology is really a help, but then it takes a lot to actually come to the fact that Osim said one thing some times ago, that it is only a thief who will not want to allow a technology like VAR. He compared it to one funny situation, and for a manager like that to say, you believe it's true. But then when you expect technology to save you in this situation, but the men you put behind the technology do not have the patience, do not have the seriousness of manning the equipment and just do their job diligently, it brings a lot of problems. But everything that is happening afterwards doesn't change anything. Even if Liverpool write all the letters in these words at the end of the season, nothing is going to change. But for me, as someone who also, as a Liverpool fan, one particular reason why I'm not particularly pained because of this thing is because VAR or officiating issues in the Premier League is like breakfast.
It goes round.
It will go round.
It will be someone's turn tomorrow.
So Liverpool have lost 3 points. Yes, they've lost 3 points as a result of this. Next week or next 2 weeks, it might be Arsenal, it might be Manchester City.
It might be affecting somebody else.
But then, there is this attention on Tottenham Hotspur. How much have they paid referees this season? But then, they are just a good team that are also ticking at this particular time. But it's just
Maddison's son, the midfield is very sweet right now, with Richarlison up front. In fact, it looks like
it's a compact team.
It's compact.
Because a new goalkeeper, straight from Italy.
Bukayo.
Then look at the left side of the defense too. We have this Italian-born Nigerian guy, Destiny Udogie, who particularly to me in that Liverpool game was mesmerizing. That someone like Jota even got a red card off him. So he was that good in that game. He shows a lot of fluid going forward on that left-hand side. And their manager himself, you need to see the level of support the fans are giving him.
Right now.
They are enjoying every bit of the ride.
I mean, they are second.
Yeah, they are
after
second
7 games.
After 7 games. And
Nobody would have thought about
they are
that.
still unbeaten in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal right now at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
I just hope they will be able to keep that compactness, even after losing their main man.
All right, very quickly to our boys. When I mean our boys, players of the Super Eagles who are doing a great job on the international scene. 2 victors right now, but we'll be starting with the popular victor. I mean, the most popular victor. Victor Osim got into the TikTok controversy with his team. He was even benched in the last game. He came on a few minutes after coming on. Himself and Kwara.
5 minutes.
Yeah, Kwara got a fantastic sweet pass from Kwara. Headed that ball in. Haven't celebrated his last 2 goals. Well, I won't say he has not celebrated, but he has not celebrated the Osimhen way. So we will say he's cold. And then he sort of wrote a letter to Nigerians to shut up. How do you interpret that letter, Biolu?
Well, maybe not to Nigerians, maybe to a particular Nigerian in the diaspora who at one time took the matter on his head even more than Victor himself. And the Nigerian...
Are you saying that letter was for one person, not for people?
Not really for
Because
people.
Nigerians have been screaming on social media and then they are not like, oh, he has told us to stay out of his trouble.
As a matter of fact, and one of the ironies of this issue is that some people in Ibadan were supposed to hold...
there was a protest.
Some kind of
I
protest.
saw the protest. They were protesting for Toby Amusan and Victor Osimhen. Yes, and they said that they are fighting against the system. I saw it. He held. Yeah. The protest held. The videos are all over.
So it's just part of it. But for Osimhen, I think he understands what it is.
Our people.
He understands what it is with the people of Naples. And you see the way he started in statement last night, coming to the city of Naples, not just coming to the club Napoli. So he knew what it is.
To the people.
And he knew what it means for the fans to have unfollowed him on social media in droves. So he needed that love back, at least. If he has issues with the club, not with the fans. If they are fully with him and if they show him the love truly, then he really has to reconcile with them and dispel every accusation, every finger that has been pointed at everybody that he has been living with in the city of Naples. So it's just sad that he's been embroiled in this thing.
But he's still doing his job. He's scoring goals.
That guy looks like someone on the ordinary. He looks like someone that is very mentally tough. Yeah. Even when you look at him physically, it won't get to him. He scored immediately after that. Yeah. And to think before them, he's not scored in 3 or 4 games for the club. So he's really tough and he's shown the kind of...
And he's no longer playing penalties.
He's no longer... He's
Politano played one. I think,
But then, the big thing is that when he was benched in the weekend, the last weekend, I think he was actually rested for the Real Madrid audition that he will be having tomorrow in the UEFA Champions League. And that is going to be big because by January, we should be expecting some other transfer speculations about him. So
and he didn't sign a new deal.
He didn't sign
so he has how long to run down this contract now? So it will be in the news. He will probably be the new Mbappe of the...
So for me, by... tomorrow, he will be having an audition against Real Madrid.
Very quickly, the other victor did not score, but they are topping the Bundesliga.
And he has won the Player of the Month for the previous month, the month of August.
Yes.
At the moment, he has 6 goals contribution for Bayer Leverkusen.
Victor Boniface.
Victor Boniface.
The man who uses social media in a funny way. Like old Victor Osimhen.
You see, I was going to come to that because it has become a trend and it's something people are now getting to tag along. And I think he needs that to build that.
He needs to build it.
A lot of people here, Victor Boniface, Victor Boniface, what does he do? Before now, he is one of the most quiet guys on social media. Until this review. So let him just ride.
Take advantage of it.
Let him just ride the tide and build that followership. But as much as he's doing for Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga, we want to see him do it in the national team.
We have the chance on the 13th.
He has only played
Saudi Arabia.
He has only played few minutes for us, and he has 1 assist already. We definitely want to see him. And I know that a lot of people who saw him develop in Akure too are looking forward to seeing him again in the national team.
Very quickly now, making mention of Akure. Football is back on the local scene. The Nigerian Professional Football League.
Premier Football League.
Sorry, we removed the... I beg your pardon. We removed the professional and brought in the Nigerian Premier Football League, still retaining the NPFL. And this weekend, it was a weekend of goals. Goals are plenty. League football is back in Lagos, and today, Sporting Lagos will be playing against Gombe United. So before for league football in Lagos, it used to be all the way down to Agege, all road leads to Agege. But right now, all roads now leads to CMS Marina at the Mobolaji Bank Anthony Mobolaji Johnson Arena. But what do we used to call it before? It doesn't. That was not the name before.
Was it Onikon?
Onikon, yes, the Onikon Stadium. But it's now the Mobolaji Johnson Stadium. Of course, beautiful video coming from Sporting Lagos. I saw that 9 minutes, 19 seconds video. Unfortunately, there was no single player that said anything in that video. Nothing from the captain, nothing from the boys who indeed won promotion, but from the other part of the crew. But very interesting. MPFL is back, Bjorn.
MPFL is back, and I think for the first time in 10 years, we are having a season start around September. When you talk about following the calendar of other leagues in the world, it might not matter a lot really, but then when it comes to alignment, it matters a lot too. And I think we've taken a big step in terms of aligning our
despite
calendar.
the controversies.
Yeah, but then there's still a lot. There's still a lot that I don't even understand. But there's a lot around streaming. There's a lot around TV broadcasts, which is yet to come to
signings that we don't have full details of.
And there is still a lot about the 20 clubs themselves living up to the expectations of what a league should be in the 21st century. Just we can only vouch for few teams in the MPFL to do things like every other team
at the proper level.
At the proper level, but then there's just still a lot to do. But we are excited that our football is back, and I'm sure Lagos people will be excited that football is back in Lagos at the same time too. We saw games during the weekend, and it was what a way to come back. First of all, in Yenagoa, Samson Siasia Stadium.
Hat-trick.
Bayelsa United against Akwa United, a hat-trick for Robert Mizo, the guy who came into the league just last year with Bayelsa United from the NNL, scored 9 goals in the league last season. And in just one game,
he has scored 3.
He has scored 3 goals, almost half of what he scored last season. I remember speaking to him before the opening game of the season. He was linked to Rivers United during the summer, and it was like the deal broke down because of negotiation and all that. But he's in Bayelsa, he's fully committed and wants to double what he did. And just after one game, in a 38-game season, he has scored 3. Maybe double figures, maybe go for the MPFL goal record. But then that guy is one to watch.
Obviously, he's painting himself in glory.
Definitely.
Very quickly, Rivers United are the only team to have qualified for the continent. Eventually getting a point in, eventually getting themselves into the group stages of the CAF Confederations Cup. They lost 2 penalties, fans trooping out, calling them names. Eventually, they won 2-0. $700,000 is the participation fee. So even if they get kicked out of the competition, $700,000 with the current exchange rate. That's about 70 or 700 million in naira.
That's a lot of money. 700 million naira, and safe to say that they got more than that for participation in the competition last season. And like it was last year, they were the only team
that made
from Nigeria that made it last season as well. They got to the quarterfinal and were knocked out by Young Africans of Tanzania. Brings me back to what I said about Nigerian clubs being what they should be anywhere in the world. Young Africans is a relatively younger club in terms of, talk about Rivers United to just 2016, but that's a combination of Sharks FC of Port Harcourt and Dolphins of Port Harcourt. And their manager is the longest serving manager in the MPFL, Stanley Eguma. So it's a generational club in Port Harcourt and in Nigeria as well. So now they're back in the Confederation Cup. Second time, second chance. They won't say they don't have the experience.
Can they go as far as the finals?
They will be anticipating the group stage draw. Let's see who they play first before we even see how easy it will be for them to get back into the quarterfinal stage. And I'm more concerned about how they even invested the money from last season. I saw that they renovated their stadium, brought in a number of players from other teams around Nigeria as well. And they have they have one, they've had the Liberian guys since last year, but then I hope they make a good investment of the money they got last season, 1 point something, and this time around they are guaranteed $700,000
confirmed
for making the group stage. But you will begin to still wonder, why do we have only one team from Nigeria on the continent?
Every time it looks like it's a thing now.
It was really promising.
CAF Champions League, nothing eventually. And then last season too, we had Remo. We thought something would happen. Nothing. This season they got the Champions League. We thought something would happen. Nothing. And
it was really promising. Eimba, to think they were back on the continent, and with and Eimba particularly were quite disappointing. He scored 3 goals away from home, only to come
home and then play a draw.
The same thing for Remo Stars. got a draw against Medema in Ghana, only to come and be held at home too. It was quite frustrating.
Terrible.
Bendel Insurance, I won't blame them. They played tough oppositions.
Both times. And then they lost, what's his name again now?
Osarenko Imade.
Osare Imadi, yeah.
So it was tough for them, and you have to give them the respect for at least trying to play against 2020 champions, RS Berkane of Morocco. But I think it's high time. I don't know what CAF would have to do about the qualification system into these two competitions.
I think it has to be
tough.
That is the way it is. If you want to roll with the big boys, you must be big yourself.
The only teams that do not play preliminary games are the champions of the previous season.
Yes.
Every other person
you must follow suit.
And you follow suit.
So that is how you end your big boy tag. Very quickly, we move now to La Liga. Jude Bellingham, a boy on fire. He doesn't seem to want to stop anytime soon. Getting the victory over Girona, anybody was thinking, Girona on top of the league is going to be a very tough one. 3-0 it was. Barcelona was playing against Sevilla. Very difficult game. Fortunately for them, they got an own goal from a former Real Madrid man. Sergio Ramos, old egg there, scoring an own goal and ensuring they got 3 points against Sevilla. Atletico Madrid playing against Cadiz, and everybody thought difficult game it was when the game began, of course. 1-2-0. They came from behind to win. I'm talking about Diego Simeone's men. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. Building very quickly the La Liga.
Well, Girona were on top before the game against Real Madrid.
Yes.
But the fact there and the obvious thing was that Madrid were going to top the table if they beat them or if they did anything in that game. And it took one special boy who has been all along this season.
It is not a fluke.
Has been proving very important for Real Madrid. And who knows? This guy is just there, writing his name up there
at 20,
at the age of 20, and you keep doing this for the biggest club
for Real Madrid.
So
saving Real Madrid gaming week in, week out.
He's just turning himself to one of the biggest players in the world at the moment, and he's that important to the team. For Atletico Madrid, I was seeing their game passively last night. It was tough for them at the start. Cadiz were going to make a statement with that game, and they went 2 goals up very as quickly as they could. But character is what differentiates a big team
from a small team.
Not a small team, any other team.
There are only small teams and big teams.
The character will always be there. And no disrespect to Cadiz, they were no match for what Atletico were going to do. The pressure that I saw from Atletico Madrid in that game could pump water. And gladly, they got their deserved victory.
One man that is hitting it big right now, the father of twins, Alvaro Morata.
Morata,
he looks like he's back, rejuvenated.
And to think that at some point in time, there were different speculations around him. Which team wanted him, which team did not.
Where was he going?
And he's looked like one of the players that you just want to say, okay, stay with me. Let's see how well we will be able to do. And I think that was what Atletico Madrid did with him. And they will be glad that he's delivering.
They made that option.
They made that option, and they are giving me the chance to also shine as well.
Very quickly move to the National Youth Games, the 7th edition. Delta took it home this time. In fact, we can't count the number of goals. 29 for females, and they came overall first. And I think Lagos was somewhere in third.
Second position.
Oh, second position was Lagos. Third was where again? Hopefully you are seeing the table looks like here on your screen right now. But this is my question, Biodun. 7th edition. These guys that have gone on to do great things in the past, have they been able to come up when it comes to getting into the national teams of these sports? The swimming lady, we saw her. The golf boy, from Ekiti. The swimming girl from one of these private schools. Even the private school girl in Lagos here that won 3 goals, 200, back this and all that. Where are we having these people in the nearest future?
You know, there's been a lot of here and there when it comes to having the National Youth Games and the National Sports Festival.
Yes.
You know, the National Sports Festival is like a tradition.
Yeah.
But when the National Youth Games was introduced some 7-8 years ago, the last one was the 7th edition. Yeah. And all the previous editions have been held in Ilorin, in Kwara State. When it was introduced, a lot of questions were raised that what becomes of these young chavs? How do we monitor the development of these guys to ensure that we see them in that traditional National Sports Festival, and we even see them represent the country, Nigeria, in all of these events that they partake in. It takes a lot, and I think it's one avenue for states to begin to nurture their young
talent.
athletes. And a lot of people will say it still doesn't make a lot of sense to have the national sports festival and the national youth game, but then it makes a lot of sense because that is the only avenue that these young guys would have to develop and aspire to become even something better than those that they are seeing ahead of them. So it comes with a lot of work for all the states. You know, during the National Sports Festival, we hear a lot of stories about Delta states having one Segun Odunayo competing for them. We all know Segun Odunayo is not a name unless he grew up there. Unless he grew up there and he feels like, yes, I'm
He's
from
comfortable enough to represent them.
So we hear about poaching with National Sports Festival, but not really the same thing.
For the National Youth Games.
I saw a Yoruba girl in swimming events competing for Bayelsa State, but I realized she was there with her mother, and I realized that they've been living in Bayelsa State for as long as...
Yeah, even Lagos had and it was great.
So it's about those who are residents, training with the facility, and are eligible to compete, and if they are comfortable enough to compete, yes, compete, but we don't want to hear stories about athletes under the age of 15 being poached. From one state to another. So if you can keep that sanity, if you can keep that in check, I think we'll be making a lot of difference in the nearest future.
All right. Very quickly, we must talk about our Fantasy Premier League. Yeah. What a time we've, what a week we've had. The week is not over though, so we may not be able to do much because, by week is not over, the EPL week isn't over. There's still another game. Chelsea still plays today, and there's another game between Luton and one of these relegation new boys. Relegation Burnley versus Luton. Burnley versus Luton. I think that's going to be on Wednesday or Thursday. So the week is not over yet. So the league table as of now is not what is going to be at the end of the week. So when we do come next, we'll be able to give you what the table looks like. We've had a very fantastic show, holiday show. Interesting show. Punch Sports Extra is what we call it. Always two persons in the studio right here facing you. But behind the studio, behind the cameras, I beg your pardon, we have lots of wonderful persons punching and pressing. And today, these persons have been our producer, Melanie Shola, and the man, Olalekan Olabode Dada, or Johnny Bravo, like some do like to call him. My name is Segun Odunayo on behalf of Abiodun Adewale Flyer, saying thank you very much for being a part of this edition. We are here because you are there. Have yourselves a fantastic holiday. Once again,